Great. So I think it's time so we can start the session now. Once again, I would like to welcome and thank all of you for joining in today. The topic of today's session is conversion optimization. It's definitely one of my favorite topic. It's very easy to generate traffic. There's lot of people talking about it, and that's what agencies are paid for primarily. But how to really get business value out of the traffic that you're drawing to your website, that's the conversation that we focus on today. How to really do the conversion optimization so that you really get the best value out of it. And to lead this session, we have with us Manoj Bajaj. He's an online business growth consultant. He's actually a senior entrepreneur, and in the current venture, which is Greybox, he's helped various organizations across the world to multiply their revenue by using various practices of conversion optimization. So really delighted to have Manoj with us today. By the way, Manoj is also associated with us as a partner in leading trainings of inbound marketing trainings. So that's it. Over to you, Manoj. Looking forward to this session.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so today's as Kapil has beautifully briefed that all of us have been running traffic on the site and spending money, and now we have to understand what is the best value that we can get out of that traffic. There are multiple ways, multiple theories, multiple methodologies that we are going to discuss in this presentation. So the discussion topic is revenue/profits from the traffic that we are already getting. So first of all, I would initially like to start with the first poll. What is success for us if all of us are involved in some kind of a site or another? All right. So what does success mean for our website? What is the end goal of the website? So I would like to start the poll over here. Kapil, can you please start the poll?
We started. So guys, just mark what is the best option for you, and then I'll just share the results with everyone as well. So everybody, if you could just respond to this, and so that we can move on. 33% have voted. Everybody, please do that fast. Great, 70% of you have already voted. Rest of you, can you please complete it fast? I'll just close the poll. Okay, great. So here are the results. 36% have said e-commerce, 33% lead generation, 21% content site with no direct revenue intended, and 10% is content site with advertisements as the main revenue source.
All right. So top two categories are e-commerce and lead generation. And most of the times, my examples would be directed towards these two categories. And if there are any questions, we can always answer. If there are any areas that you would like me to highlight, you can always have a hand raise or ask the questions later after the session. Okay, beautiful. So now the second question, there is another poll I would like to conduct here is, what kind of traffic does your site get? Okay, I would like to understand the minimum unique visitors per month for your website. Okay, Kapil, can you raise the second poll?
I've already done it.
All right, great, fantastic.
Okay, so 50% you responded.
So I would invite all of you to please mark your options.
Okay, guys, can all of you do it fast, and then I'll close it and we'll move on. Great. So here are the results. 38% have said less than 10,000 visitors.
Right.
15% have said more than 10,000. And 23% said I don't know. And 25% said that I do not have a site right now.
Fantastic. All right, not a problem. So the idea is that few of us are actually planning a venture in future or in near future. So that's fantastic. This thing is going to be extremely useful for them. And people who are already getting 10,000 visitors, they will have direct correlation with what I am saying. And people who are getting less than 10,000 visitors per month, they will have slightly tweaked implementation of what I'm going to discuss today. And if there are any questions or queries, we can definitely go ahead and solve all of them. Okay. So starting with is the fundamental question is, what is conversion optimization? Okay. So to understand, we need to answer this one question: how do I grow my sales, profits, leads, or advertisement revenue from my online business that exists online? Okay. So the idea is that what are the possible outcomes, what are the possible options that we can utilize in order to grow our revenue from wherever we are right now to the next level. So the question is answered by almost all of us, and we have been hearing the answers that we can do that by getting better visibility. We can do that by getting more traffic. Let's go out there, spend some more money, and get some more traffic. These are the questions, answers to this question typically we have been hearing, and we have all been expecting all the time. Now, what are the possible other options? So there is another approach towards this particular question. How about instead of focusing on traffic, we focus on the optimization?
So now I would like to take this discussion ahead, and I would like to show you a couple of scenarios that what are the possible options. Okay. Now here are this option. Let me just, yeah. Now there are two options. Let us say you want to spend some money. Let's say 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 1 lakh or more. Okay. Every month you have got some budget to spend. Okay. Now there are two options that you can actually use your budget for. Option one, that you spend this money and get more visitors, which is option number two, as you can see here, purchase traffic. All right. Now, if your traffic was close to 10,000 visitors in December, and if you spend 50,000 rupees in January to bring more traffic, you will probably have 2,000-3,000 more visitors. So I have taken a 2,000 visitors extra on part of January, okay, as second option. Okay, but in case of conversion optimization, since we are not focusing on visitors, we'll continue to have the same traffic, same level of traffic that was there in December. Now we start working on the conversion part, and let us say by doing certain experimentations, by establishing some hypotheses and conducting some tests, we are able to raise our conversions by approximately 20%, which is not unseen, which is not uncommon, which is very, very popularly achieved number. Okay. So, and it is also on the lower side, it is not on the higher side either. Okay. Now let us say there are two options. Option number one, you work on conversion optimization, and by doing certain tests, you are able to raise your conversions by 20%, from 3%, which was in December, to 3.6%. Okay. And you are actually selling 360. Okay. And in the same ways, if you are actually working on buying more traffic, if your conversion rate was 3.0% in December, it will still continue to remain the same as 3.0%, and you will still be selling 360 units as in case of December. Okay. The moment you start increasing your traffic, your sales are bound to increase, right? So let us just see what happens in February. Okay. Now in February, because you worked on extra traffic, okay, you are getting 3% conversion, and you are getting 360, as you can see, 12,000 people, visitors multiplied by 3% is equivalent to 360 units. Okay. In case of option one, as you see in January, you are able to raise the conversion by approximately 20% by doing certain tests and conducting some experiments. You are able to raise that by 20%. So you were still getting the 360 units as in the case of getting 12,000 visitors, 2,000 extra visitors, right? But the moment you enter into phase 2, February, okay, you see the difference that starts coming in. Now, you see that if you are continuing to test further, and if you are doing certain more tests and conducting more experiments, you are still going to get 20% extra raise in your conversion levels. Okay. So now in February, if you are conducting more tests, your conversion rate is going to bump up from 3.6% to 4.3%, another raise of 20%. Very meager 20%, not a huge 20%. Okay. Now, in case of second option, where you are purchasing traffic, by spending the same amount of money, you are continuing to get same amount of visitors. Okay. So the conversion rate remains same at 3%, and you are getting 2,000 extra visitors by spending the same amount of money. Okay. So what you get in these two options is that February, in case of direct purchasing traffic, you are continuing to get the same kind of results, that is 360 units, as it was the case in January. Okay. In case of February, there is another bump of 20% in your conversions, and now your conversion rate rises from 3.6% to 4.32%. Okay. Now in February, you will get 432 units. Okay. Is this analogically clear? Are there any questions on this?
Looks like no questions so far.
Okay. So, should I believe that everybody is clear, or people couldn't understand it? Okay. So let me just summarize it. So if you are spending some money and getting extra traffic, you are continuing to convert at the same rate which you were earlier. So by getting 2,000 extra visitors, you are bound to have extra sales. Okay. So that means if you are getting 300 sales in December by 3% traffic conversion, now in case of January and February, since you are getting 2,000 extra visitors, you will get at the same rate 3%, you will get 360 units. Now in case when we start working on the conversion optimization, in December you are getting 3%. Now by 20% raise in January, you get 3.6%, and further 20% further bump in February's experimentation and test, we get 4.32% conversion rate, rising from 3, then to 3.6, and then eventually to 4.32%. Okay. Now you are actually selling at you are actually converting at 4.32%, and now your sales are of 432 units. Now something happens, and suddenly you run out of money. Now what is going to happen in next year? Now let us say we assume that you do not spend any other money for the rest of the entire year. Okay, so now let us just compare the two scenarios. From March to December, you just spent 2 months for January and February, and then for the entire year, you did not spend any money whatsoever after these 2 months. Okay, so spend is, in case of conversion optimization, 0, as well as purchasing new traffic is 0. So considering the December's rate of traffic at 10,000 visitors per month, in 10 months, you will have almost about 100,000 visitors in both cases. Okay. And in case 2, when you are purchasing traffic, since you did not work on conversions, it is still going to remain 3%, which was earlier. Now, in 10 months, you will be selling 3,000 units, right? Now, in case of conversion optimization experimentation, which you did for 2 months, okay, in January and February, now your conversion rate had gone higher from 3% to 4.32%. In next 10 months, you will still be selling 4,320 units, which is 44% more sales for the same 2 months of investment that you did on conversion optimization and not on purchasing traffic. Okay, is this example making it clear the importance of conversion optimization? Okay, I would like to have some yeses or some questions on this, if there are any.
Yeah, Shalu is saying yes, all clear. By the way, Ramya has a question. Ramya wants to know what kind of test should we conduct to apply this approach?
Fantastic. This is going to be covered in a little while. I am going to cover that at great depth in this webinar itself. Any other questions?
Amit has a question. What are conversion optimization experiments? If you could be clear on that also.
Yes, that I'm also going to cover. I'm sorry for the technical jargon that I have used so far. I'm just going to cover that in a very, very short while, immediately after a couple of slides.
Okay. A.S. Oberoi has a question.
Any other questions, Kapil?
Yeah, A.S. Oberoi has a question. Since mine is content-led site, hence is it applicable to me? Looks like this example is more suited for a commercial site.
Okay. Now, consideration of content sites are slightly different. Now, there are two types of content sites categorized broadly. One is where the revenue is not directly linked. The others are which are getting revenue because of advertising. Okay. In case of advertising, a commonly established scenario is CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. So that means if people are coming to your website and checking more pages, okay, that is your goal in that case. Okay. So in case that a particular conversion would be the goal for that site would be that visitors come to your website and visit more and more pages. So by visiting them, by visitors viewing more and more pages would actually directly result in case of revenues for your website. Now, in case your content site does not have directly revenues involved, that means you are probably a product awareness site or a service awareness site. So that means people spending more time on your website would be the goal for your website. Okay. Now, if people are coming to your website and spending time, okay, then you have to establish what is the optimum level of exposure that is required for a specific page. Let us say, for example, if a page has got about 1,000 words, okay, scanning or reviewing a page takes about 2 to 3 minutes time. Okay, so the goal would be achieved if a visitor spends 2 minutes or more on your page. Okay, now your optimization experiments or optimization tests, which we are going to conduct discuss further, would involve that you have to make visitors spend more time on every page or more time on your website. Okay, so for content sites, the goals would vary slightly differently. But yes, of course, all these tests, all these the discussions, all the methodologies we are going to discuss in this webinar are applicable for all the people, all the kinds of websites. I hope this answers your question.
Yes. So another question is from Vidya Priya Rao. She wants to know, what about a B2B scenario?
Yes, B2B scenario involves lead generation because the sales are not happening or the revenue is not collected on site through a credit card. Okay, in case of B2B, it is all about leads. So consider selling of units that I have just shown you in this experiment. Instead of units, consider that as leads. Okay, you may not be selling 300, you may not be having 300 leads, but whatever leads you are getting, an increase in conversion is bound to increase the leads, number of leads that you're getting. Okay, so the same concept which I'm discussing is applicable for lead generation in B2B scenario as well.
Got it. So there's a last question from Murthy, and he says that, how can I use it in the real estate sales?
Real estate sales. So that means it is again a query-based system where you will be getting leads. All right. So it is basically that studying the entire website, understanding what exactly do you require to do in order to get more leads for a specific real estate ad or for a specific real estate property. Is basically similar to how it is going to be done for lead generation system. Okay, so that means if your site is getting 100 leads per month, then your goal is to increase the number of leads. Okay, maybe 105, 110, 120, or maybe 200 or 300 leads per month from the similar from the existing traffic that you are getting right now. Okay, so if there are no further questions, then I can increase further. I can move ahead further.
There is no
okay. So as I just explained you that we did this experimentation for 2 months. Of course, in real life, generally when you are seeing a growth in your bottom line, you are not going to stop at that point. Okay, so it is an ongoing optimization process, an ongoing process. You don't stop unless you have reached the 100% mark, which is obviously not possible, which is something which you have to continuously work to achieve the optimum levels. So the process goes like this. You have to optimize your site, increase your sales / leads / time on site / number of pages per site. Then you learn how your visitors are thinking, how your visitors are behaving on your website. Then based on that, you further optimize your site, increase your sales, increase your leads, increase the pages per visit, increase the time per visit, and then further you understand. So this is an ongoing process. It is never ending, never stopping process. And imagine when you start doing it, you are bound to get these kinds of results. Now, I've just shown you a couple of scenarios that I have discussed about 20% growth. 20%, 10%, 5% are something which are very, very at a lower side or lower end. I have seen results which are getting 60%, 80%, 100%, 2000% kind of variations from the existing statistics that we are getting. So just imagine at a very lower end, if you are getting 10%, meager 10% of rise in your conversions every month by conducting some tests and experiments, which I'm going to discuss in just a short while. Okay. So starting from month number 1 over here, as you see, it is the principal, which is the existing value. Right now, your currently site is getting 100%, is considered as 100%. Now, if you work for this site, on this site for 1 month, you are going to raise, if you are able to raise 10% of your conversions, you are going to get 110% revenue or sales or page time, time on site or number of pages. Okay, so your goals are going to be achieved at a 10% higher rate. Now further you work on this for another 1 month. Okay, then you are actually getting 10% on the previous 10%. So now it will not be 120%, it will be 121%. Okay, so if you continue to build further on your conversion optimization, it is going to work just like compound interest. Okay, so compound interest is basically you get interest, it gets added onto your principal, and then the next calculation of interest is going to be done on the previous principal plus interest amount. So in the same way, when you are working in optimization for conversions, it is going to work exactly like the way compound interest works. So once you have achieved a 10% rise in your conversions, then the further test or further work or further experimentation is going to start from 110%. So now, if you continue to work for about 6 to 7 months on your conversions, like the process I'm going to explain just right now in this webinar, in about 7 to 8 months, you are going to approximately double or triple your results uplifts. Okay, so as you're seeing that in the third month, you'll be getting close to 120% results in about 5 months. Okay, this is the 0th month, if I have to say. Okay, in about 6 months, where 6 is written, it should be the 5th month, you'll be crossing somewhere about 50% mark, and then in about 8th month, okay, you will be crossing the 200% mark. That means in about 7 to 8 months time or 6 to 8 months time, you will be doubling the results from whatever you're getting right now. Okay, sounds probably too good, but I'm just going to show you the process, how you can implement or how you can actually implement that. Now, you also have to continue to learn what you are doing on the site, and you have to also evolve how your visitors are behaving and thinking. Okay, once you start getting a deeper understanding of how your visitors are behaving and how your visitors are acting on your website, you will start getting more and more insights, and your conversion rate is bound to increase from mere 5, 10, 20% to a higher percentage. Okay, now what kind of insights do you generally get? Now, you will get these kinds of questions answered. What kind of images are resonating with the target audience? What kind of messages do these people respond to? What kind of call to actions work better? And what kind of assurances, guarantees, or credibility parameters work best on your website? Okay. So going ahead, I would be seeing I would be discussing on these, but let me just a little bit expand on these particular things. What kind of images resonate? Most of us would like to put beautiful images from stocks, okay, from Getty or other companies or Google Images. You see tons of stock images, beautiful stock images. The moment you try and put stock images, your conversions, we have seen that degrade. Okay, and people understand that this is a made-up version of whatever you're telling, whatever you're discussing. Okay, when we have actually in the past used real-life pictures, okay, where the lighting is not good, where the skin tones are not as perfect, where the settings or the entire backdrop is not perfect, which is like natural. Okay, the conversions have increased dramatically. Okay, so the more close the pictures, images are from real life, they are bound to give you better conversions, because the more realistic, the more believable it is going to look. Okay, then what kind of messages do they respond to? Okay, so the kind of headlines that you have, the kind of subheads, the kind of content that you're actually putting on your landing page is something which is of critical importance. Okay, what makes them tick is the answer. And headline being the most important, then in slightly lesser importance is the subheadline, and then the titles and subtitles, heads and subheads further going down, okay, are something which need to be checked again and again. Okay, then comes call to action. Call to action is the button which you want your visitors to press. If it is your shopping cart, then you want them to press add this to my cart or buy now button. Okay, if it is a lead generation system, then you want them to press the submit button on your form. If it is a content site with not a direct revenue attached, then you want them to spend more and more time on the page he has arrived at, and then probably check more pages. Okay, if it is a content site directly related to revenue, then you would want them to press back and next button so that they can check more articles. Okay, more content on your website. Okay, so these are the kind of things that you have to basically test and understand, which is giving you the optimum way to increase your conversions. Okay, and what are the assurances? Assurances are the guarantees, the money back guarantees, the kind of damage warranty, or what do you call that, refund guarantees, or return guarantee or return policy, or these kind of things which will give them assurances that okay, this site is genuine, then they are more likely to buy from this website. The more you learn from your tests, the more you learn from your experiments and continue to apply them, the more your conversion rate is going to go up. Okay, the more you're going to sell. Okay, then I would now like to proceed to segment 2, conducting tests and conversion optimization. So this particular section is going to take care of all the jargons that I have used so far. And if there are any questions thus far, I would like to welcome that. Okay, are there any questions thus far?
No, I
Hello?
think we
Do
can
you see any
continue. Yeah,
questions?
we can continue.
So moving ahead, conducting tests for conversion optimization, as I got a couple of queries that what are these tests and experiments all about. So anything that you have to test, okay, there are multiple methods of testing, which I'm going to cover in a short while. Okay, the most popular method for testing your conversion optimization practices is called A/B testing. Okay, now what is A/B testing? I'm just going to cover. Okay, and if you find any queries, if you do not understand anything clearly, please raise your hand or write a question. Okay, so what is an A/B test? Okay, now A/B test is basically a method where you actually have to understand what are the goal for your websites. Okay, so that means what is it that you want your visitors to accomplish? Are they successfully doing it? If yes, why? If not, why not? Okay, on the basis of these particular observations, you are going to conduct certain tests, and then you either are able to identify some winners, or you are able to identify losers or no results. On the basis of that, you learn further and then do more tests. Okay, so this is an ongoing exercise, ongoing process, which I just showed you with a triangle over there, where you can actually continue to test continue to conduct your tests. Okay, now all of us have been in schools, and all of us have probably seen this kind of an experiment. Now, A/B testing is similar to a junior science experiment, junior school science experiment, where you were actually studying the plant growth. Okay. Now, the question here is that which kind of water gives better growth to the plant? Okay. Now, there are two options. One, that you're actually using tap water. The other, that you're using boiled water. Okay. Now, if you actually use boiled water, now consider that everything else is the same. The kind of air that these both plants are getting, the kind of sunlight these both plants are getting is exactly the same. They are actually being stored in exactly the same kind of soil. Okay, so there is only one parameter you are actually changing here, which is the type of water. So the question here is that if the type of water that you are actually feeding to these plants can actually help them grow better. Okay, so in one case you actually get tap water fed to this plant, let's say plant on the right hand side. On the left hand side, you're actually putting a boiled water kind of thing, which is probably can be done in a microwave. Okay, you boil the water in the microwave and then put it. Now, on about 7th day, you see that on the right hand side, the right plant has grown much better as compared to the plant on the left hand side. Okay, so with this experiment, nothing has changed, but only the type of water, which was either the tap water or the microwave water or the boiled water. Okay, now you see you have only changed one variable, okay, which was under your control. Okay, the rest all the things have been kept same. Okay, so now by changing this one single variable, okay, now you are able to establish this fact that by putting tap water into the plant gets better growth as compared to the boiling water. Okay, so this is like an A/B testing environment where you actually change one single parameter at a time, okay, and then see the result and the outcome of that. The parameter, the variable which gives better result is the winner, as compared to the parameter which gives inferior result is the loser. Okay, now if the current site is doing better than the result, that means you have a losing experiment. If the current website is doing less than the new variable or the new parameter that you introduced, that means you have a winner. Okay, so is this coming clear? Okay, I'm just going to give you one more example. In fact, several examples for this A/B test conduction. Okay, now in case of web, it works better for using people than plants, of course. Okay, now what you generally do, you divide your entire traffic that your site is getting. If you have one variable, one parameter to test, okay, so then you have version A for your website or for a specific landing page, and then you have version B for a specific landing page. Okay, let's say you change the headline for that, you maybe change the call to action button, or maybe you change the image on that landing page. Okay, but only one change at one single time. Okay, you're not doing multiple changes, which will not be then an A/B test. There are some specific type of advanced A/B tests which I'm going to cover probably if the time allows me. Okay, but in the simplest level, you're changing only one single parameter. okay, and then you send half the traffic to version A and half the traffic of the site to version B, okay, and then at the end of the experiment, if you find that version B has converted 25% traffic and version A has converted 20% of the traffic, that means version B is the winner, and it has actually given you 25% more conversions than version A, which was your default. Okay, is this thing clear? Kapil, do you see any questions here?
No, we can continue.
Okay. Now, further going ahead, okay, this is the same, a little better illustration of that A/B test. Let's say your site is getting 8,000 visitors, okay. As you're seeing, every single icon represents 1,000 visitors as an example, okay. Then you have one landing, two variations of that landing page. The technical term for this landing page is the default is known as the control, okay, and the new variation that you are producing against that control is called the treatment, okay. Or maybe you can say there are two treatments, treatment A and treatment B, okay. Treatment A is the default, which is also known as control, or treatment B is the new thing that you just introduced, new variation that you just introduced, but one change at a time, okay. So half the traffic of that site is given to variation A, and half the traffic of the site is given to variation B. Now, traffic A in segment A or in funnel A ended up converting at 29%, okay, and traffic segment B ended up converting in 13%, okay. So you can clearly understand that this particular scenario, version B failed and version A was the winner. So that means this particular test did not give you the variation that you suggested for this test was not the winner, so default did better than that. So I've just given you an example of when a test is going to win or a test is going to fail, okay. So in this case, version A is the winner and version B is the loser, okay. Now, for example, going into the real life case study, there is a company called 37 Signals, and they have a small business CRM called Highrise, okay. Now, if you see version A, treatment A or control, it says start a Highrise account, pay as you go, 30-day free trial on account, no hidden fee, okay. And then they change this headline and subheadline combination, and then they change it to 30-day free trial on all accounts. Sign up takes less than 60 seconds. Pick a plan to get started, okay. Now, treatment B actually got 30% more clicks, and which actually meant 30% more business for 37 Signals, okay, with no increase in any traffic whatsoever. Not even a single extra visitor was required to conduct this test, all right. So in this case, if you just see, just by changing these lines, okay, just altering the language of these lines, okay, you were able to get 30% more business, okay, or this particular company was able to get 30% more business. Going further ahead, this was another website that we worked for. Now, in this case, if you see control or treatment A, the button, it was here as add this to my cart, okay. And in case of treatment B, it was buy now, okay. When we were working for this client, we were actually seeing from our analytics or from our customer feedback team or customer support team that there were a large number of visitors who were actually transacting online for the very first time in their life, okay. So they probably, the concept of cart or the malls had not caught up with those people, okay. So we were basically getting these queries that how do I buy it? They were not able to understand that what is the meaning of add this to my cart button, okay. We understood the problem, conducted the test, and then actually did this particular part and changed the button from add this to my cart to buy now, okay. Just imagine this single change in the button site-wide resulted in 16 lakhs worth of extra revenue to this particular client of ours, okay. Just this one single change of button was resulted in 16 lakhs rupees of extra revenue. The goal conversion ratios rose up or grew up by almost about 8.41%, okay. So you can do the math, the kind of revenue that site was getting on an annual basis, okay. Now, this was another test. There is a company called Infusionsoft, which basically creates software for small businesses, okay. Now, they again actually did this test, and in the first case, you are seeing see product video. I mean, probably the screen may not be very, very sharp, okay. In the second case, treatment B, it said watch demo, all right. Now, just the small change on call to action button, nothing else changed. You can see exactly the same parameters all across. Okay, navigation is exactly the same. This you can see, headline is exactly the same. The person is exactly the same. Everything else being exactly the same. Only one parameter was changed at this instant, which was the call to action button. Now, version A, see product video button call to action, increase form fills on the page by 48.2%. Okay, at a 98.5 confidence level. Okay, so I'm going to cover all these technology jargons with you in the time to come, but you need to understand that almost 50% growth was observed by just changing this small call to action button. Okay, does it sound interesting? Do you think that it is something that we can also do at our website in our cases, whether it is B2B, whether it is B2C, whether it is any other type of site like content site without or with or without revenues? Okay, do you see these kinds of changes that can be implemented?
Yeah, Venugopal,
Okay,
a lot of people are
another
saying yes. The question a lot of people are asking in different form is how to really do A/B testing.
Yes, I'm just going to come to that point in a very short while. Okay. A couple of more examples I would like to give you here is that Dell also conducted this tests. Okay, they have an e-commerce system. Okay, now they actually introduced in the control A, they actually introduced another menu. Okay, can you see the screen and then this printer and then all the other stuff? And in version B, this is missing. And there were some other kinds of changes. Okay, like you can see the sidebar navigation menu is exactly the same. These parameters are exactly the same. There were certain other changes on this page. This may not exactly be fitting into the A/B system. This is another type of methodology called multivariate. Okay, this is somewhere I should have written multivariate here. My mistake. This is not example of A/B testing. This is another type of methodology where you can actually change multiple parameters simultaneously and then watch the result as observe the results as the outcome for the change of each variation. Okay, but the end outcome of this result was that version A helped convince 19% more visitors of purchasing something, which means that 19% revenue or essentially in profits as well for them. Okay, by doing certain tests of this sort. Okay, now another case of B2C segment, Laura Ashley site. Okay, as you're seeing here, on the left hand side, treatment A has two buttons: continue shopping and go to checkout. Okay, and in the second case of treatment B, you're seeing continue shopping, update shopping bag, and go to checkout. Okay, exit everything else being exactly the same apart from that help opens new window. The color of the background is slightly different. The rest everything is exactly the same. Now, just by using one button, okay, 18.87, that means almost 19% people actually bought more, okay, converted better than as compared to version B, okay, where that one extra button was probably creating some kind of a distraction or maybe some kind of confusion to those visitors. So removing distraction, removing that extra button for that was causing confusion actually helped them grow their profits or their sales by almost 19%. Okay, so these are the kind of experiments then that obviously anyone of us can easily conduct. Now, you have always been asking, I mean, many of people have asked us, what can I test? Okay, and how do I test it? So I'm going to take a little time of what can be tested and then a little more time on how do we actually conduct these kinds of tests. Okay, now this is a typical landing page. All right, now what can be tested is headlines or subheadlines. I have shown you an example from Highrise. Okay, navigation. I have shown you an example of Dell. Okay, link labels and forms. I have shown you the call to action buttons. Okay, images, call to actions, offers. Let means whether 10% offer converts better than 15% or vice versa, or maybe 20% offers converts better than in a specific segment. Okay, the kind of offers, and it is of course very obvious that if you're going to give 20% discount, okay, that offer is going to likely to convert better. But what about bundling? Okay, if you bundle multiple products together without giving any discount, what kind of bundling results in a better conversion? Okay, so that is another kind of test that comes under offers category. Of course, prices I've just discussed. Page layout was another example which I showed you for Dell. There were many changes in the page layout. Okay, then comes page flows. Page flows in a typical environment is a sequence that the user has to traverse from point A to point B in order to convert the goal, in order to complete a goal. Okay, For example, for an e-commerce site, the person has to click on add to cart. Then actually he has to go to shopping cart where he has to fill in his details, login details, username, address, shopping cart address, shopping address, shipping address, billing address. Then in the next stage, he has to actually confirm all the details and then eventually go to the next page, which is called paying page, which is the payment gateway page. And then completing the transaction will actually take him to the last page, which is the thank you page. So this is a specific sequence of pages one has to actually go through. So this is the page flow. Okay. So by working on every point of page flows, you can start compounding your conversions. And this has been done beautifully. We have conducted tests for our clients where we have seen the rise of about 60%, 70%, 80%, or maybe beyond 100% rise in when we start working on page flow. For example, I just gave you an example of changing button text from add this to my cart to buy now. And then on the next page, the very next page had this button called checkout. Okay. Checkout, again, if the person is not able to understand the cart terminology, then probably he will have difficulty in understanding what checkout is. Okay, so we just converted this checkout button and changed it to proceed to pay. Okay, that was the next call to action button. And by doing this certain changes, we saw a 63% growth in the entire conversion funnel levels that we actually saw there. Okay, that we also tested, but this is basically a lot of things that you can test, and you can actually continue to spend months and months and years just for testing these elements, whether it is your B2B page, whether it is your B2C page or site, or whether it is time on page or pages in per visit. Okay, so these are the primary goals that you have to address and look after, and you can test all these things for meeting any of these goals. Okay. Now, you'll probably say, with so many things to test, where do I start? What should I test? Okay. So the idea is that you need to understand that you need to be observing. Okay. So there are many ways which will actually start giving you insights and where do you start actually working. Okay. So the primary important thing is, which probably all of us would be having, is Google Analytics. It is the biggest revealer of the biggest conversion opportunities. Okay. And incidentally, it is all free. Okay, this is a slightly older screenshot of Google Analytics. The Google Analytics screenshots have now changed. The interface has changed slightly. Okay, this is the dashboard that we created for a specific client. Okay, now if you see here, revenue is this much. Okay, visits are this much. This is the timeline. This is the sequence of traffic which we are getting, and these are the top countries which are giving us revenues. And this is the browser breakdown. What kind of browsers we are getting? Okay. Now, if you see keywords, since this is a slightly older screenshot, now keyword information has stopped coming into that keyword area. Okay, and now you're seeing the conversion funnel. Okay, if you're seeing here that 10,000 people actually started checking out, or maybe started add to cart button, then they actually did the booking process, and then eventually out of them 1,200 actually ended up converting. So now you can see you are getting approximately 12% conversion here, approximately. Now you're also seeing that from this stage to this stage, there is a drop of about 28%, and from this stage to this stage, there is a drop of about 36%. Now, the more users are towards the end goal, the more highly targeted they are. So we will clearly understand that this is a stage where we can immediately start working. Now, if we are able to increase the conversion percentage from 36% to slightly higher, maybe 38% or 39% or 40%, that is going to immediately affect our bottom lines. So by looking at your conversion funnel, you will see where exactly you have to start working immediately. Okay, this is for e-commerce websites. Now, in case of lead generation sites, okay, you have to understand what is the process people are taking in order to actually give you this lead. Okay. Now, if people are actually going through a sequence of pages, first of all, maybe they come to the product page / service page. Then they check out the methodology that you work, then they check about you, and then they eventually go to your contact us page. Okay, then this is one form of conversion funnel. This is one path of conversion. Okay, so you have to start seeing and understanding that how you can actually make people traverse through this path, okay, as frictionlessly as possible, and then eventually increase your conversions. Okay, and eventually increase the number of leads that you're getting. Okay, then more of that you will have to also work on for lead generation. You have to also have to work for the headlines, the images that you're using, the text that you're using on your landing page, as well as call to action buttons. Okay, we have seen that just by changing the images from stock to real life images, the conversion goes rate higher dramatically. Okay, and most of the forms that we use are actually using submit button or OK buttons, which are actually the bad practices. Okay, instead of submit button or OK button, you can use something called to action, which is very relevant to the process that he is doing. Maybe you are telling him to download a white paper, so instead of using submit, you can actually say that download white paper. Okay, so that call to action change is actually going to increase the results or the number of leads. This is one I'm telling from my past experience. Okay. Then there are other tools like Crazy Eye, which will give you insights about your website, okay, about the behavior that your visitors are showing. Okay, you will be able to get heat maps. You will also be able to get scroll maps. Heat map is something where you will be able to understand how people are interacting, how visitors are interacting with your website. Okay, in case of scroll map, you will be able to understand how deep your content should be and where people are actually losing interest. Okay, so the more red at that area is, that means most people are finding that area interesting. The moment it starts going from red to yellow to white, that means people are losing interest down the line. Okay, so that means you have the boundaries where your content must end before visitors start losing interest. Okay, so that will give you insights about that. And then there is something called confetti map system. Okay, confetti map system would actually tell you whether referral traffic is producing more leads, or it is the search terms, or it is the direct traffic, or which source of referral traffic is giving you more leads. Okay, and which source of direct traffic, maybe you are doing an email campaign, whether this email campaign is converting better. You will actually be able to track that through and through for all the channels that would actually be responsible for your conversions. Okay, and in the same way, there is something called overlay maps. Okay, it basically gives you the click density on the buttons or various elements. If people are clicking on let's say the orange button that you're seeing, RSS newsfeed. Okay, so you will be able to see how many people clicked from the entire number of visitors who came to your website. Okay, for example, if you are seeing that people are also clicking on ProNet advertising, okay, people are also clicking on this small button or green button over here, blue button over here. So you will be able to understand heat map and overlay maps are slightly similar. The heat map would actually give you a visual representation, and click map overlay would actually give you the number representation, that how many visitors came to your website, how many of them actually clicked, and what was the click distribution, okay, on this particular landing page. Okay, or maybe you can actually do that on multiple pages as well. So when you start seeing this, other thing that you can do is actually ask questions to your people. Okay, let's say people are actually coming to your website. Now you will actually ask them that are they able to, what was the goal that they came to your website for, whether it was checking out the product information, whether it was buying the product, or whatever goal they had intentions, okay, for. Okay, was that intention fulfilled? Okay, if they came to actually check information about a certain product, did they find that information? Okay, if they actually came to buy a product onto your website, were they actually able to successfully buy that? Okay, now if you say yes, that means you have a winner. If you say no, then the second question you ask is why. Okay, you probably must have seen these kinds of sites where they will invite you for a survey. Has any of us actually seen these kinds of sites where they invite you for a survey? And if you have been to Facebook, if you have been to Google, not Google, but if you have been to Dell's website, they will actually either ask you when you are entering the site, or they will actually give you a pop-up the moment you press the cross button and exit the site. They will immediately pop you up, and they would say that please help us improve our service, or please help us improve our site. Okay, so these are the kind of surveys that people are conducting. You can also conduct these kinds of surveys. Okay, now when you ask these questions, now the answers they give you is the gold mine. Okay, if the person tells you that I came to actually look for product reviews on your website, but I did not find the reviews, you know where to look for and what exactly do you want to work on, you have to work on. Let's say if you actually came to your website for purchasing a product, okay, and they were not able to successfully purchase that product, they would tell you I was not successfully able to sell the purchase the product because I did not find the process very, very easy. or the site was too cluttered, I do not know where to click, okay, or there are too many buttons, I don't understand the meaning of those buttons, okay. So when the user tells you, when the visitor who is your target audience tells you that this is the problem I'm encountering on your website, this is the biggest goldmine of your information. In the same ways, these kinds of things can also be handled offline, okay. If you have tons of traffic, if you have getting tens of leads or transactions on your website, okay, and people are calling your support center and telling them that I'm not able to complete my purchase because of such and such problem. Maybe they do not know how to feed in their credit card information, or where do they feed in the credit card information. Maybe they do not understand the meaning of shipping and billing, difference in shipping and billing information, which I'm telling you from my past experience from a client. Maybe they do not understand why should they fill it up differently. They say it is all the same for us, okay. And again, I quoted another example where I said that people were not able to understand the terminology of malls, which essentially the concept came from US and Canada, where there were malls and shopping carts. The people had to actually collect all the items in the shopping cart and then go to the checkout counter. Okay, that concept has still not caught up in various states or in various places in India. Okay, so these people are finding it difficult. And I just told you that when people told us that this is the problem they are facing, we changed that thing, and eventually the immediately sales started growing. Okay, so we asked using these technologies. This technology is called iPerceptions 4Q surveying system. You actually implement this. All the technology which I've just discussed are extremely easy to implement. Like you implement Google Analytics by a small JavaScript code. You actually insert a JavaScript code for all these snippets for all these technologies, and you eventually end up gathering all this data. Another beautiful technology is user testing. Okay, how would you feel if you actually sit and understand the behavior of your visitor, and you are actually seeing over the shoulder of that visitor? Okay, so you can hire visitors, you can hire testers from usertesting.com at the rate of about $39 per visitor. Okay, and then you can hire 5 testers or 10 testers and tell them that this is what you need to achieve. Now, not only will they be actually traversing and browsing your website, they will actually be speaking aloud what they are going through mentally. Okay. Now, if they're saying that I am a 60-year-old woman and I am finding this text to be too small and I am just not able to read, okay, and if you're actually targeting 50 plus visitors, that means there's something really wrong with the text size or the font size. Okay. So that means you clearly know what exactly do you want to work on. Again, this example of small text font size I am giving you from my example. Okay, one of the client actually, when we tested, this said that I am actually buying it for my granddaughter or grandson. Okay, and then this grandmother came to the website and the font was a little too small for her to be able to comprehend clearly. She had a problem and she left. But the tester, she was eventually, incidentally and fortunately, the tester. Okay, now when she actually gave us this feedback, the text is too small, we started increasing on the text size, and eventually we got a 33% rise in our conversions. Okay, so these are the kind of things. So user testing would give you the advantage, and you will be hiring the users, they will be traversing your website and telling you that what is it that they're thinking, what is the obstruction that they're feeling in order to achieve the goal that you want them to do. Okay, so this is another fantastic tool that we use commonly and most often. Okay. Now, once you have used all the tools, you have actually studied analytics, you have actually studied heat maps or confetti maps or scroll maps or overlay maps. You have actually asked users that what is it that you're facing as a problem and what is it that is stopping them to complete their goals. Then you have also hired your testers. You start collating all the feedback, all the inputs in an Excel file or a Word file. Okay. Now, let us say that Google Analytics gave you that homepage bounce rate is 77%. Okay, crazy. Okay, from homepage, only 12% of visitors click on free trial button.
Okay, great. So in the same way, when you survey your visitors, okay, you will see that 43% of people said that they came to see the review, but they could not find the review. Okay, so now when you actually collate all these responses, you immediately start seeing a pattern. Okay. And then when you start seeing this kind of pattern, you will know exactly where to start working on. Okay. Then you can ask these questions. Okay, I increase the relevance of my offering to the visitors. Okay. Then your probably answer or the hypothesis would be by using a better screenshot. Okay. Probably your another question would be what kind of changes might increase the impact of my product value proposition. Then maybe you can say that by introducing the social proof in my headline. Okay. So these are the kind of changes that you are now required to actually conduct, okay, test and experiment, okay. Now this is something which you will be doing as a draft, that this is the existing site and this is I propose as a new site, and the paper and pencil version is the new site, okay. Now you can see how your changes have been done, okay, and now you need to start testing, okay. So once you conduct these tests, you can use tools like Google Content Optimizer, or which is now called, earlier it was known as Google Website Optimizer, then it was changed to Google Content Optimizer, now it is known as Google Behavioral Experiments, okay, Content Experiment, sorry, not Content Optimizer, Google Content Experiment, now it is known as Google Behavior Experiments. You can use tools like this, or maybe Visual Website Optimizer or Optimizely or other tools like these, okay, which will help you conduct these kinds of tests by testing two variations or multiple variations simultaneously. And then when you start and the test, at the end of the test, you will see that whether it was a winner or it was not a winner, okay. If it was a winner, you can actually start from that point onwards, conduct a second test. If it was not a winner, you can actually understand what was not right in that test, and then figure out what else can be tested apart from the variation you just tested, and then rerun the test all over again. So this is the process that you have to continue to do all over again. Now, what would you like to do once you have doubled your conversions, okay? So this is the end of the story. Now, after having done all the hard work of the process that I've just explained you, what would you like to do with the conversion money that you're now going to make, which is an extra, okay? Bank the money, enjoy the life on the beach or on a holiday, okay? Reinvest the money to buy more traffic again, okay? Or hire someone to focus 100% optimizing on your site. So this is the entire story which I had to share with you. So now I can now welcome all the questions if you have any.
Okay. First of all, thanks a lot, Manoj. Definitely, I've made a list of things that I need to test on my website. So looking at all
Wonderful.
the presentations, so I hope that will help me to increase some revenue at my end. Guys, there's a lot
Great.
of comments and questions. So, I mean, if I miss out anything, please just restate it. So one of the question was from Samriddhi, and she asked it sometime 15 minutes earlier. She said that when you were discussing about the difference between add to cart and buy now, how adding buy now actually increased the revenue. She said, but there are a lot of sites which are still having add to cart. So, like, how to really decide, like, on what basis to finalize on, which one is correct for my
Great question, Smriti. Yes, great question, Smriti. When we actually were analyzing the customer support feedback, and when we were also analyzing the analytics, we were finding that almost about 15 to 19% people were actually buying it for the first time in their lifetime. Okay. Now, and they were also, for this particular customer, the people were also from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Okay. And we eventually tried to do this experiment, probably that due to a cultural difference in USA and Canada and India, okay, and the concept of checkout system or shopping cart system has not yet caught on with those states and those cities. So why don't we just conduct this experiment? And when we conducted this experiment based on this hypothesis, we actually got a winner, and we were able to grow this percentage by almost about 8.41%, which I just shared earlier. So you have to basically check your support data. You have to check your if you do not have any customer support for your particular business site or for your particular site, then you have to obviously check for analytics. Then the next thing that you can do is basically conduct a 4Q survey, okay, and then you can also actually see and conduct the crazy egg heat map and click map survey, which will actually start giving you understanding that how many people are actually clicking on buy now button, or how many people are, sorry, add to cart button. Now it is again a matter of testing. In some cases, if the target audience is more towards tier A cities or tier 1 cities, then that means they are probably, I mean, this is a hypothesis which has to be tested for each site and every site, okay? And if you are, just because Amazon is doing add to cart does not mean that you also have to do it. Or just because Flipkart is doing buy now and Infibeam is doing something else, just because of this reason you don't have to do that. You have to test your own best combination for yourself, okay? So I have actually discussed plethora of tools that you can use. Google website, behavior experiments, content experiment, which was called earlier, or you can use Visual Website Optimizer, you can use Optimizely, and these kinds of tools, and actually figure out that what is giving you the best results for your website. I hope, Samriti, I have been able to answer your question.
Yeah. So, guys, by the time I'm taking up more question, I'm just launching this poll in front of you. You can say it's a commercial break also. Manoj is in the business of conversion optimization. So, in case you're looking to get your site, you want a professional sort of service for conversion optimization, you can just press yes over here, and I'll forward your contact details to Manoj, and he or his team will get back to you. So by the time, I'll just take up some more questions. Nikhil, another question is from Nikhil. He wants to know if there are some free websites that can do same work as usertesting.com. So are you aware of any free website?
I am not aware of this user testing. Are they talking about usertesting.com?
Yeah, usertesting.com.
Okay, they would give you a discount of $10 for the first order. So their user is $39 per user. User pricing is. Now, if you buy 10 users, instead of $390, they will actually charge you $290, because for the first order they give you a $10 discount per user. But I'm not aware if they are actually doing any free promotion for user, and I'm also not aware of any site which is giving free user testing. And I would really invite, if you know, please let me know as well.
Got it. Great. Guys, a lot of you have asked a question. Can you please repeat? And that is related to a lot of tools that has been discussed, including Scroll Map and Crazy Egg. So in any case, we'll be giving you the recording of this event. So I would suggest, since in the interest of time, you can actually, revisit the recording sometime. Okay. So I'm just launching.
I have actually made a list of resources here at the end of this presentation. So you can actually go and check through that. I will be sending the PDF to Kapil for him to share to all of us.
Great. So what I will also do is that along with the video, we'll send you the link to download the PDF also. So that I'm sure would help all of you, right? So guys, I'm putting all the hands down right now. In case any of your question is not answered, or in case you want to have an open conversation with Manoj right now, just press the hand raise button and I'll unmute you. Just make sure you have a workable mic. Okay, Vidhu, I'm unmuting you. Yeah, Vidhu. Yeah, Vidhu, what's your question? Vidhu, are you there? What's your question?
Kapil, I did not get the question.
Lost. That's on. Great. So let me see if there is anybody else who have a question and this question is not answered. Just let me know. I'll unmute you. Vidhu, I'm trying to unmute you once again. You're raising your hands again. So Vidhu, yeah, what's your question?
That I want to know that is we able to know the complete behavior of the user of our web page through A/B testing? Like if he is spending more time on video, is he spending more time of our call of action button? He want to click it or not? Is there any way to know this behavior on our web page?
Yes, there is, obviously we can test everything on this. Okay, if this is the video, there are specific tools available for actually measuring the length of the video that the person saw before he left. Okay, if you want to basically test the interactions with call to action, of course we can measure that by using this tool called Visual Website Optimizer. The goal in that case would be either the length of the video watched. There would be some specific type of coding required to be done for that in video. And in case of time spent on website, that is something which can be extracted from Google Analytics. In case of measuring the interaction with call to action button, the goal will be that to click on that button. Okay, the more people click on that button is basically the parameter of success for that test. So yes, the tools are available that will help you understand the behavior from end to end, from right the point the user is entering in your website till the point they're exiting the website. So yes, the tools are available.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome, Vivek.
You're welcome.
Okay, so at this point of time, really want to thank all of you for participating, and thanks Manoj for a very very nice and focused presentation. And I'm sure it has given a lot of call to action for all of us to work on. So guys, just to let you know, yeah, we'll give you the recording as well as a PDF within next 3 to 4 days, and you'll receive it in your email box. Thanks a lot. Thanks for attending this session. I hope you liked it. Looking forward for you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you. Thank you, Kapil. Thank you for having me here. Thanks all of you.